let me see here. I'll just dial Mitzi's number here. There we go. Hope she's home. This will be fun. Our very first interview on Billy Bob's news broadcast.
Hi, Mitzi.
Well, hey, Mitzi, how you doing? This here's Billy Bob.
Billy Bob, happy Saturday night.
Thank you. I'm so happy you're home, because I'm doing this little news broadcast, and I told all my listeners I was going to try calling you tonight.
Oh, well, you got me loud and clear.
Well, good. You're actually the first one that's ever been interviewed on Billy Bob's news broadcast.
Oh, well, I'm honored.
I don't even have a good name for the show yet. I just call it Billy Bob's news broadcast. What would be a good name for it? How about, what do you think? Got any ideas?
Billy Bob's blast of a newscast.
Billy Bob's blast of a newscast. Okay. Hey, Mitzi, we decided that you'd be a good first person to call, I guess, mouse here to call, because we're doing a story here today on our newscast about allergies, and specifically peanut allergies.
Ooh.
Did you hear that story about that 15-year-old girl who died, like when she kissed her boyfriend?
I heard about that. I didn't actually read the news story, but I heard from someone. They shared it with me, and they knew that it would mean something to me. Do you know why?
Why?
Because I'm allergic to nuts.
That's what I remember that. I remember that from the showbiz days. You told me about that. Fill me in. Fill our listeners in on your allergy.
Well, I'm not allergic to peanuts. I thought I was allergic to peanuts just because I thought all nuts were in the same category, but it turns out chemically peanuts are a legume, so they're different.
Oh.
But I'm allergic to all nuts except peanuts, and I don't really like peanuts because they kind of give me the heebie-jeebies like I'm eating a regular nut.
Ooh, the heebie-jeebies.
I'm allergic to those, but I'm allergic to all other nuts, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty ugly.
It's funny you should mention the heebie-jeebies, because we talked about the heebie-jeebies on last week's broadcast. Well, gosh, when did you find out you were allergic to nuts?
The very first time I ever tried a nut, because when you're a baby, you don't really try nuts.
No.
I first tried a nut when I was about 3 years old. I was following my granddad in a buffet line at a party, and I got hold of a nut, and I got rushed to the emergency room because it closed up my throat and I couldn't breathe.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
And
My word.
And the doctors told my family that I had a pretty severe allergy and that I could die from it if something, if I didn't get treated right away or if I ate too much of it. But the nice thing about your body is Mom lets me know right away when I've got it, when I've actually taken a nut in. From the second I put it in my mouth, I end up spitting it out.
Well,
I still get sick from it, but I don't get as sick as if I had just sat there and eaten an entire piece of pecan pie.
Yeah. Did you have any other emergencies when you were growing up with nuts?
I had a ton of emergencies, and I've even had emergencies as an adult.
Oh, my.
And it's really embarrassing because I've even had them whenever I've had shows.
Yeah.
I've had to endure an entire show and run back and forth off stage and be sick. It also makes me break out into big old red splotches.
My goodness, I don't think any of our listeners, none of your fans probably knew about this.
Well, if you were in Marin, California back in 2000, you would have probably figured it out because my eyes, they get all bulky, almost like they're bulging out of my head. It's really ugly.
I bet you sing just as good. But
I'm really embarrassed. Well, they're in the same room with me. They put mixed nuts out on cocktail bowls.
Yeah.
Out in tables and lounges.
Yeah.
That makes me sick. And it's a pretty sensitive allergy. That makes me sick, and my husband can't eat nuts around me or near me. We don't keep them in the house at all.
So here around Christmas time, all those nuts that people eat at Christmas time, you're not one of them.
I'm not one of them, but it's funny because people give them to you as gifts, people who don't know.
Yeah.
They give them to you as gifts, and I'm always like, thanks a lot, they're trying to kill me, but I usually keep my mouth shut, but somebody in my family will say, don't you know she's allergic? And most people that are close to me realize that I'm allergic to them, and even when we do bookings, it's in our what's called the technical rider. They tell you what kind of microphones you can have, and they also tell them don't have nuts anywhere near.
Well, for heaven's sake. Of course, I was thinking of a lot of jokes I could tell about nuts and stuff like that while you were talking.
Well, you won't when I talk about it, sometimes it's kind of hard not to have the double entendre.
All them double entendres, you know, we were thinking of them, but we didn't say them. I was biting my tongue here.
Really, Bob, I've heard them all.
I'm sure you have. And
Hey, I have a couple of jokes I'd like to make about the nuts.
Just go roast your nuts somewhere else, Rolfe. Never mind, Rolfe. He's inappropriate humor.
The funny thing is that people don't believe it until they actually see me have a reaction.
I bet that's not funny at all.
No, it's not funny, but it's funny later on. I mean, I'm willing to sit back and laugh at how horrible I was on any given night that I have a nut allergy. If I order a salad and it comes out with seeds on it, people are like, no, send it back. And so that's the hard thing about nuts, is they can hide nuts, including peanuts, in almost anything. And that's what's tough about it is one time I had a grilled chicken sandwich and had a bite of it and said something about this has nuts in it. And sure enough, somewhere in the bun it had nuts in it.
Well, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, they just hide it in all kinds of stuff, and you have to be extra careful. And you know, they wrote a little thing in Japan. They gave me a little slip of paper in Japanese to tell the kitchens in Japan, because they really don't speak English very much in Tokyo. They don't need to, because there's so much their own society and their own culture that I had to give them a slip of paper when I was visiting overseas to tell them that I was allergic to nuts.
I see. Well, Looney Bird's got a question for you. It was a letter written in from one of our listeners.
Right.
And Looney Bird, go ahead with that.
Alrighty, this is sort of a letters to Looney Bird thing here. And it says, I understand that Mitzi has a nut allergy. And I would like to know, Mitzi, how did you feel when kids were eating candy bars and nuts around you? Did you want to throw it in their face?
Well, it's funny because when a food has a nut in it and I can see the nut, it's totally disgusting to me. It's so much like Pavlov's dog. It just makes me sick to look at it. So I'm into foods that have nuts in them.
Yeah.
But if I can't see the nut, like 2 nights ago, my kid handed me a Hershey bar from her Halloween basket.
Yeah.
And I didn't read the label, and I took a bite of it, and the second I took a bite, I realized it crunched and spit it out.
Oh, my.
So yeah, sometimes it still snags me because I want to hang out and just be normal, and then I realize that I've broken the rules. So yeah, occasionally I would get jealous if I couldn't see the nut, any side of a nut, and I just go, ugh.
Do you keep a syringe filled with any kind of counter serum or something that you need?
They gave me drugs for it, or they gave me some type of very strong prescription antihistamine for it when I was probably in my late teens, college years. It didn't work. It didn't do anything for me. And so I blew it off. But now I hear that there are all kinds of newer things that they can do for me. But I don't know, maybe I just like living on the edge. I haven't done anything about it.
Have you tried Nuts No More?
That's not realistic.
Sure it is. You can look it up on the on the internet. Yeah, Google it. Nuts No More. You'll find it on there. It's for people with nut allergies. You know, I always did have a crush on you back when we were playing in the Rockfire Explosion, Mitzi.
Aw, you're sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you were like the prettiest one of all of them.
Well, that's because I was the only girl. Slim pickings there, both.
It was slim pickings, I have to admit. But fortunately, I ain't the only one. We've been hearing from a lot of people that really loved you when they were growing up, Mitzi.
I've gotten a lot of really cool emails, and feel free to keep emailing me, guys. It's great.
Do you have anything you want to tell the fans before we go? And we'll call you again, but what would you like to tell everybody here before we take off here today?
Well, just about Rockfire in general, it's kind of cool because when I was doing it, I was a kid, but I didn't realize how amazing and even sophisticated and intricate a lot of our music was. And even now, I go back and I listen to it, and some of it is just amazing.
Are you sure you were playing with the Rockfire Explosion? What?
Abbey Road for a kids show. It was just kind of a little bit a cut above. It was a lot a cut above what normal kids shows were, and for me it was just part of daily life. But as I look back on it, it was good stuff. So
I I remember I thought that was kind of weird myself when the boss came in and he said we were going to be doing Abbey Road, the whole second side of Abbey Road, and it had to be perfect. It had to be note for note, just like the record. And I looked at him. I thought, you're nuts. Yeah, you're right. We did kind of have to. We had to push the envelope. We were being pushed around like slaves there by a slave driver, if you ask me. And but anyway.
With all creative people and all creative processes, and it's cool when you find fans out there who can appreciate what you're doing and not buy into it. So we appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, we certainly do. And Mitzi, I want to tell you, I really still appreciate you because you're one of the best friends I ever had.
Aw, thanks, Billy Bob.
And we're going to call you again sometime, okay?
Okay, and good luck with your new show. How much fun is that?
Okay, well.
Your own show.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.